when you start your...
Right, just say one more thing.
This coffee's
there we go.
Not too bad.
There we go. There we go. Okay, so I think I know what the problem was. So it's my bad. My headphones. My headphones connected via Bluetooth, which overrules absolutely everything. So I have to go in via the cable so that I can still have the audio source as my desktop. So I know how to do it for next time.
Okay.
All right.
Do you want to reach back out with Skype or do you care?
No, let's.
Okay.
You can still do everything. Yeah, you can do everything with this that we can do on Skype, except the quality isn't as good on your video. But nobody really wants to see you anyway, so.
Perfect.
All right, so Peggy, you can hear everybody now, okay? I'm going to take it as a yes because I can see the dials going up, but let's just wait for Peggy to confirm.
Right. Do you have a?
Yes.
I don't see the art thing. Do you have any kind of chat enabled that people can actually? Is that what she's typing into?
Yes, the live chat on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. For the next one, maybe we'll get you set up so you can actually see the chat and stuff as well. It's just obviously through time constraints, we haven't been able to get ourselves set up quite like we'd like to, but we'll get better at these every week. It's kind of a trial and error thing. So, and as I say, it was Mike's fault, and if anything else goes wrong on any other week, it's going to be Mike's fault as well. But we'll just go from there. All right. So
I'll take it.
Okay, so back to the actual order of business then, I guess. So we will take it in turns to go through the previous week's tickets and what we said we would complete. And then we'll actually take it in turns to go through each of the tickets that we say we have completed and demonstrate the fact that we have actually completed those tickets. Once one of us has gone, the other one will go, and then we'll see how many points we've allowed each other at the end of that. See where we fare up against each other, and then if it's level pegging, we will put it over to you guys to actually put your vote in and see who should actually get the kind of the win. So there's going to be 2 points that we're going to be following here. There's the points that we're earning for our tickets per ticket, so we may get 9 points per week on that. But then there's the actual battle points, which if we go evens, if I have 9 points and Mike has nine points, we then need somebody from the community to actually vote who should actually get the win for the actual battle. That is the number you see on the screen, and that will go to 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. But we'll have a running tally of the amount of points we've actually occurred for each ticket. So, Mike, do you want me to go first? So you can kind of get a feel about how we should go about it.
Well, because I'm sure you're gonna micromanage when I go, so I figure you might as well just lead the way, and then
okay.
That way, I have less of an excuse not to listen to your chirping. So go for
it. All right. Okay. So let's switch. So this is my Trello. And on the first log where we were discussing actually what we were going to be doing here, I had all of these tickets here. And Mike, I'm not sure if you can. Are you actually watching this live?
Yeah, I have to switch over. So right now I've got it on. I can see.
Okay, fine.
There's about 7 pixels worth of video, but that's okay. So
okay,
I can make it out. So go ahead.
Okay, so in my first set of tickets, I had a total of 21 hours worth of work with 9 points that I could earn in that first battle. Those were create the game pieces, my complete set in Blender and import it into Unity. And I explained on the first week that I'd already done some of my game pieces and there was just a few left to go into that, which was 1 to 2 hours left, which was the points. I had design start screen. I had implement the start screen so that it actually works. Then I wanted to create the algorithm for my actual game so I could actually get my match threes, because my game is based on kind of a match 3 scenario. So I had to put all of the logic in for that, and then implement a selection marker which will start. You can move with the thumbstick on the controller and it will tell you what piece on that grid you're actually on, ready to start playing a game. So those were the tickets that I put in place for me to actually complete, and now I'm going to tell you how those went. So the first ticket, which was an eye-opener for me, was this one here. Now, I spoke originally about completing all of these models in Blender before, and I had this image here that I'd already had on that I'd taken a screenshot of previously when I posted it onto my socials when I was working on this game previously, but I didn't do anything else with it. So it was my assumption when I went into this project that I still had this Blender file. However, I did not still have this Blender file. So what I actually had to do in the end was I had to rebuild every single object within the scene in Blender in order to get my objects. Now, I didn't do that as extra. I did that. I kept this as 1 to 2 hours, but I actually spent probably close to 4 to 5 hours actually rebuilding all of those objects in Blender. But I got to the point where they are indeed created, and I'm going to show you those in my game. And this is talk the talk versus walk the walk. So I'm going to switch to Unity, and you'll be able to see this lovely screen here. And I'm going to start the game, turn on my controller. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, these are the objects that I've had to recreate. This game it's going to be portrayed as a 2D game. However, it is actually 3D. As you can see, if I go off 2D mode.
That is one of the benefits of creating models in 3D, by the way, which did help sway me to going 2.5D, because you can always make anything that's 3D look 2D, but obviously it's not the same, vice versa.
Yeah, right. That's the good thing
But
about
it's
it.
a benefit, yeah.
So all of this is full 3D. So all of the objects are in 3D. I'm just literally portraying the whole game as 2D, and the reason for that is because I want to be able to utilize the render pipelines with any lighting and any kind of extra effects I want to put onto the game later on. So rather than trying to attach them onto a 2D layer later on, I jumped into the 3D side of things and went straight away with that. So you can see all of my objects. I've got some power-ups here. I've got my progress bars on the right. I've even put the buttons that it will actually take to press on your controller to complete all of the actions. So I'm going to switch back to Trello. That ticket was this one here. So you can see a complete set of objects for the game, including all game pieces. I allocated 1 to 2 hours, which was worth 1 point. However, as I said, it took way more than that, but that's my fault. So on that, it's going to stick in with the 1 to 2 hours that was originally put on it, and that's going to be worth 1 point. So my question to you, Mike, is have I earned that 1 point?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it looks great. By the way,
Thank you.
I just want to add though, I've been messing around. In fact, anybody that's seen the last couple of videos I've done, I've been using lighting, trying to do the 2D lighting with the now the URP instead of the lightweight,
Yeah.
whatever that is over. I just stacked the cameras so that so what we've been calling Ms. Unity, or I've been calling, she's over engineered in the sense I've got a 2D camera to get the lighting. I did it just for fun to see what I could do with 2D with pixels, because I wasn't sure I wasn't going to go that route for this game.
Yeah.
And then I stacked a 3-dimensional camera for the actual parametric, the audio that you see when she's actually talking. So just for the reference, that the lighting, it's one of the things is experimental. It doesn't act the way you would in terms of real world space, but
Yeah.
Anyways, good choice. No,
No,
that's
you're
I
right in
like
what you're
it.
saying. The lighting is something actually that I've been working on trying to get better at myself as well. Because one thing that I've never been able to get quite right is the lighting of a scene in any of the render pipelines, whether that's HDRP. You know, it doesn't matter. I've never been able to get the lighting right, and this time was the same case. I jumped into it and I went ahead and I put all of these, I put all of the lighting in, and I really was not happy with it. It looked absolutely terrible when the lights were in. I didn't know what to do, so I watched a couple of tutorials. I can potentially find the links to those in my history because I looked at quite a few, and put them into the description later on, maybe. But ultimately, it resulted in, and this might be useful to anybody else watching in order to be able to understand what we did here. But not just relying on this directional light here that you can see on the right hand side. That's the standard light you get whenever you create a new scene in Unity. It was more going into the lighting settings that are on the bottom right here, creating a new lighting settings file, and then within the environment here, changing the fog lighting and the environmental lighting in here. And then what you find is this completely lights the scene up. Like this here is, you're going to find this is going to have a lot more effect on your scene than manipulating that one directional light is ever going to have. As soon as you start playing with these settings, the lighting becomes apparent into what it's actually doing. So a little bit of a tip for anybody getting involved into it here, use this section.
I just want to. The question I have for you about this one part is now you rated your point based on what you thought you currently had, right? So what would you? Because for me, being honest, given that you knew, so you created these in Blender, and I'm obviously up to at this point right now. You've clearly have a lot more experience with Blender than and I had virtually none, right? So, what would you have estimated this for yourself, knowing that if you had to start from scratch, what would you have rated this for point wise? Because for me, I would say this is at least, even I know that I mean, really, you only have to make. I'm not sure if you did your materials in Blender or if you made them all the same and then just change them in Unity to
Sure.
make
So
materials.
if you want to see that, if you,
Because that's what I mean, personally, I would have made, uh, I s I guess that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of those hexagons. I would have made those shapes, or 1 if that's what you've done, and then just made the materials in, Unity itself.
yeah. So if you take a look on the screen that I'm just displaying there now, you can see that I've got
Yeah,
Blender up, and this is my default Blender file. This has got all my objects in now. Now you can see that the light in here when you put it on. Let's put it top screen. You can see that it's actually not that different now, but the initial import of it was crazy different. Blender has this default lighting set already, so that you can start modeling without having to mess around with any kind of the lighting, etc. Because as soon as you start messing around with that, you can go down a rabbit hole. So Blender has kind of a default ambient set of lighting already included, which makes it look great here. And as soon as you transition that over to Unity, you've then got to deal with the lighting yourself, which makes it look like total poop, for want of a better way of putting it. So what I did
so I'll
was,
say I was gonna say, so for me, just for the I mean, granted, it's based on limited experience, but for me, like, that's an 8-hour worth of work that you've got on your screen for that I would be, trying to score myself,
yeah, it would have been if I was putting this ticket from the start where I hadn't made these objects before, so I didn't know how to do them, and all the rest of it. Then I would have put this as a day task for myself
yeah,
to
okay.
complete. But in true Brit style, I'm going to be a gentleman about it, and I'm going to accept it and just take that onto my problem be it. So what I want to show you, can you actually see if I move this lighting scene from Unity over into the window here? You can
Yeah.
see that now,
Yeah, I
right?
can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get to this from, let me switch to Unity full side from here. You get to that from this menu here. Can you see me selecting this bottom right menu here?
I can only see I don't see you selecting anything.
Okay, so on the bottom right, there's a lighting settings button. And once you hit that, it will then take you into the menu that you're seeing. And the reason
yeah, I've got that. I actually have that anchored beside my inspector.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this back to my window. I'm going to open up Unity, and I'm going to start playing with the real-time shadow color and the ambient color, and just watch the difference that it makes immediately to the scene.
Yeah.
You know, see, this is the amount of difference that makes versus what difference you would notice from the directional light manipulation that you do in the scene usually is just totally crazy. So you put this to white, which gives you a nice white light, and then likewise, if you can do it over the others to get kind of a less ambient one there as well. And you can also, like, I've got fog on this scene. Just to kind of streamline it out a little bit because I want to do some kind of bloom effects later on. But you can also get away with adjusting those values as well. And it becomes way more apparent when you're messing about with these settings than it does when you're actually just changing this directional light up here.
Okay, so can you, I don't know if you want to wait if you had scheduled, but can you kind of explain how your game works with what you've got here? Because this is basically the main screen of the game, correct?
Yeah, this is the main screen of the game. What I'll do is I'll go through my tickets one by one, and because one of those is actually related to what the gameplay is, so I can actually describe it at that point, I guess. So in terms of the ticket that we're talking about right now is create the game piece set in Blender and import into Unity. That was worth, to me in this instance, it was worth 1 point. So Mike, I say to you, have I achieved my point?
It's yeah, you've got your point. You again, I feel like if you had started from scratch and you'd given that, I think what's a full day? 3 points. I think that would have been worth 3, but
yeah, but that's by the by. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. We're just going to accept that that's what.
Yeah, I don't want to go
from there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. This is in with any kind of game development or programming. There's nothing. Rarely does anything work out on paper, even if you set aside your goal. It's rare that you're ahead of schedule. There's just a lot of things that come up in general, a lot of bugs and stuff, even on when you think you know what you're getting into. So,
just in general software development, it's the exact same, isn't it? Just general software development.
So it doesn't matter. Yeah, you're going to run into issues. In this case, to be honest, it's a matter of you did have it at one point and then just lost it. So.
Yeah, but that did go into the fact that I'd already created some of these objects before, so going back into Blender and recreating them again was a bit easier because I knew how I actually got them to look how I wanted before. So yeah, that's why I'm going to keep it as it is, and it's a learning curve, right? Every single project I have ever worked on through my own agency and in my own engineering career has had a bunch of hiccups that you never ever cater for at the start. Now, nowadays in my agency, where I sit down with all of my developers, we plan a project from beginning to end. We create a full scope. We go through every piece of functionality that's going to be included within the app. We find any dependencies for those. We find any limitations with those. And we put all of those into a sheet. We get it signed off by the client and we start the project. What happens 2 weeks down the line? Something that we did not see or we could not see, for whether it could be a problem with anything, jumps into place, and then at that point you're stopped and you have to get yourself going again by solving these problems. And that's what software development is.
And it's not unheard of to have to actually backtrack and recreate things because you need to implement something that you can't go with in the current state. So redoing stuff happens. You're right, in the real world as well.
And I've even refactored some of the code that I've been working on this past week. I've probably refactored some of my methods, a couple of times over, and that's expected. I mean, from any professional, I consider myself a professional software engineer, but in other areas, not so much with Unity itself, because I've got 20 to 25 years experience with a lot of other languages. So I am a professional engineer in that sense, but with Unity, this is kind of, it's not my first rodeo, but it's been a long time training and a long time trying to teach others with it to get myself to the point where I'm comfortable where I am now. But even still, there's going to be a ton of hiccups, and I think any professional engineer worth his salt will say to you the exact same thing. All we are is a glorified Googler at the end of the day. If we do not know how to do something, a single person on this universe, a single engineer on this universe does not know every last little thing about the language they're writing. They do not know every last little thing you can think of. So as soon as you get stuck, the first thing you do is go to Google, you go to Stack Overflow, you go somewhere where you know you're going to be able to get the rest of the knowledge that you need. And that's absolutely fine. And we've had a lot of developers start at our agency, and this is actually a good tip for if you're actually looking out to start in your development career and you go to an agency and you're a little bit worried about the interview, thinking that you're not going to get the job because you don't quite understand every in and out of any piece of software you're working in. And that's not the case. We ask, as somebody who interviews people all the time for my agency, all we ask is that you have the skills you need to be able to source the results that is required from the project. Obviously, there needs to be some kind of knowledge on the language and the environment you're already working in, but the most important thing is that if you're not able to do a specific task, you're able to go off and find out how to do that task in the most streamlined way. That's what we ask. That's what an agency asks of somebody coming in, more than actually understanding.
Critical thinking is really what it is key, not so much
Absolutely.
your knowledge base. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So do you want to go?
Yep. I'm going to
Do you want
jump.
to ping pong this and go back and forth, or do you want to go through all of your stuff first?
Yep. Let's go through the whole thing. Then you can go through yours. Do you want to ping pong?
I feel like maybe that's
all right. So first thing I'm going to do, because I'm now awarded 1 point, is I'm going to move my ticket over into the accepted points column. So we've accepted that that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and have that. So now I'm going to switch. All right. So Mike, take it away.
Sure. All right. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my Trello board. I have to look at my Trello board, and I'm going to create what was that column that you just created? Accepted points?
Yeah, just accepted points. Mike, have you selected on your Google Meets cam to be HD?
Yes. No, where is that?
There, settings. I can't really see your screen right now. It's very, very, very bad. There we go. That's better, because you were in 360 the whole time there, I think. There we go.
Less pixels the better for you guys. So Will says. Okay. All right, we're good to go here?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go. So the biggest, again, some of you've already may have already seen some of the, as Will says, on the socials, my character. That was my main goal, is I wanted to be able to create my character. And one of the struggles that Will can attest to was at the very beginning of this, the onset was I didn't know if I was going to go with 2D or 3D model. The problem is that at one point I thought 2D would be easier for me to animate. The problem was that I'm not an artist really. So I did decide to go with Blender, which I have zero experience with. And I watched a couple of tutorials. So with my character, which is here. Okay, so I did try drawing out a couple of just stick figures that I thought I was going to trace, but it wasn't really working out for me. So I decided to, again, I was following, I'm not going to bring it up now, but Infenzia, Will actually is the one that recommended his tutorial series, and he does a whole bunch of 10-minute characters. So the great thing about him is, so there's, I mean, on Google and on Udemy, there's a lot of in-depth Blender tutorials that it's like anything, right? So you've got, the interface, you've got moving and whatnot. With Invensia, he dictates as he's actually designing his character, and for most of his videos, I think there's actual you can see the keys that he's pressing that show up on the screen. So you immediately see what he's doing, and it's a fast track. I mean, there's probably not a lot of comprehension into when I should and when I shouldn't use certain aspects. So I'm sure I'm going to get bit in the behind for not actually learning it in a traditional sense. However, um, with that, I do have. If I go here, I assume you can see my Unity screen.
Sure can.
Will, you okay? So, you've right now I've got, I should probably have the Blender screen up, but so here's my character in Unity, that I was able to basically put together with Blender. So the materials, everything is all done within Blender. I haven't done anything in here other than obviously I had to bring the material colors over, the textures. So this part, I have him. The one thing I didn't think to do is actually, I didn't think to actually show you in Blender. So what I'm going to do right now, let me just open up my
Yep.
character within Blender.
I just want to make a point as well, just
go ahead.
before you get into that, is the fact that you created this character from a small 2D image representation that you had in your mind, without any knowledge of Blender until looking at the links that I showed you. And I want to commend you on that, because I think being able to take the responsibility of piling through Blender, and I know you had a lot of struggles with it initially, and being able to continue through that is what this series is all about, is pushing you to the next level to make sure that you get what you say you're going to get done. And you did that. You went through, you learned what you needed to learn in order to be able to do it. And what you're left with is I think it's a fantastic first attempt at in fact, you could probably use that character in your game and nobody would know any different. You're not going to, because you'll probably change it a couple of times as you go along. But yeah,
there's issues. So can you? I don't know if you can see on my screen right now the Blender model itself.
The only thing I can see right now is Visual Studio.
Okay, that's a bummer. Maybe that's not working. Let me go to. Let me just do this real quick. Okay, how about now? Nothing?
No, you're on a game capture screen.
I was hoping that would grab.
Bear with him, guys. This is his first computer.
Well, okay, so I don't know how to get this on my screen right now with this OBS. Let me, you know what? Let's do this real quick.
In the scenes, add a new scene.
I'm doing that right now.
Okay. Tell me if you need any help.
I'm good right now. We can. Let's see if I can find Blender in here, which I can.
Meanwhile, whilst you're doing that, I'm gonna draw some stickmen.
Perfect.
So let's have a look. Let's have a good stickman fight going on here.
Okay, I'm just gonna. You know what? Will help me try to put. I'll say will help me with this setting this up. So I'm just gonna go within Unity in here. I wish I could get my Blender up here because it's not coming up at all.
Obviously, the one on the left is me, and the one on the right is Mike. Wearing a lovely Canadian skirt, and obviously crying because he's extremely scared. So there's
typical. Yeah.
In fact, let me. And now I'm throwing a hexagon at. Here we go. We have it on screen.
Okay, so I don't know how we're gonna get back to the anything else, but So you can see my character here zooming in and out. Is that happening?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
perfect. Okay, so I at one point probably the easiest thing in Blender when you know nothing is to bring an image in, which was that was pretty easy to do. Unfortunately, I the only image that I had was the same character that I've got for um, my intro for
yeah,
my YouTube videos. But I didn't really want to make that verbatim. Also, I really tried to follow Infenzia, his style, just to I needed mostly to understand and be able to replicate before I could actually go off script. So uh, the hardest thing for me at the very beginning was so Infenzia uses these small color blocks essentially for to be able to use his color palette, which I did again. One of the things when you're just watching him speed run his designs is you don't understand, like I didn't understand the whole texture aspect, so trying to actually get any of these colors to actually to change stuff here, uh that was that took me, oh god, at least a half an hour to figure this out. I for the life of me I could not figure out how to grab this. So if you go into I don't even know where it is it here? No. uh this this Yeah, you're bringing these to bring this map over and to select your actual the color. Oh, um that was the worst thing for me. I just
yeah.
had such a heck of a time bringing this color into the actual uh that area. That drove me nuts. And so that part, I was close to jumping off a cliff. And I'm like, man, am I gonna quit before I even start here? I couldn't even figure out the thing. Once I got past that, um, it took quite a few walkthroughs with Infenzia's his design. So again, because you don't really understand with like insetting and extruding and scaling and rotating, there's an actual order that you can't just um, extrude and scale, otherwise you get these weird blocky shapes. So again, my character's not there's flaws. Uh, he's not perfect. I had to adjust the belt here. It's a little bit larger than I intended it to be, but I feel like it kind of works being that bulky. Um, I still couldn't tell you how I managed to get. This is not definitely the way to get your logo or a secondary image using this palette here as a material. I couldn't get it to work properly without. I didn't know how to make whatever the color of the background, keeping this transparent, throwing it on there. So I kind of cheated in that I basically made this rectangle. I grabbed this color for the material
Okay.
as a background and just placed it on. I know that can't be the right way. And I'll sort that out, I'm sure, later. But so, for example, if I try to change the color of his shirt, you'll see this gray area. So I did cheat to get that there, but um,
It's because you're not
it
using
worked.
texturing, isn't it? You're using solid colors right now, so you're not actually set up to use textures, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I was just happy once I got that damn color, the original cube. Like if I right now, uh, so when I added this cube here and it actually had these colors on it, that was a win for me. So I struggled quite a bit with that. And then, of course, the other thing that I couldn't for the life of me figure out was why certain keyboard shortcuts wouldn't work. And again, it's this is not a Blender thing. I mean, it's most things. But if my cursor is over here or over here, and you click a button that it has to be actually in the scene here to do whatever you're trying to do. So that takes a bit of again when it's just familiarity.
Yeah.
Um, but, yeah, so if I go right now, I think I've hidden the rig. I have to fi here's my I think I see, I'm still not sure how to use this program.
Again, you've done a brilliant job, though.
Yeah, I guess that just goes to show how far I've come with this. Um, man, how do I show a stupid rig? Oh, it's in this, right? No. I don't know where his how do I edit the poses to show? Feel free to help me out here if you what am I supposed to get to bring up his actual the
I
rating
do not know.
mechanism?
Are you using
Me neither.
Rigify?
I moved him. You know what? It's funny because I moved him for my thumbnail, and I think it's because so I was working on the guitar here and rigging him up. So I think I must have. I'm sure I've hidden it, and I don't want to waste your time on the for our viewers watching this, but um, he definitely is.
He's rigged.
Yeah, he's rigged. In fact, now if I can go to, I don't know if this is going to show. So am I still switching back to Unity there?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, we should be able to see. So if I don't want to do that. Where's my the wrong grab? Sure. There. So you can see I'm actually twisting like his.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you can see all of that. And I have actually seen on one of the other, maybe an image on Twitter that you posted or actually just on with you that I've seen that it is actually rigged as well. So
Yeah, I've got, so I threw in, you can right now, like Mixamo. I did grab a couple of Mixamo animations that you can just pop in for, I see, he has a character controller. One of the things, so, okay, I don't want to jump into too many more things with my, with this. So he is, yeah, you've seen he's rigged. And I think as far as, let's go back to my Trello here. You can see I've got, these are all the things that I had planned out. So I did have, well, the drawing out basic shape, that was, I technically did. I don't know if you'd say I modeled it based on that drawing per se, but it's basically in line with what I was going for with the same kind of, you can see that there's
it's the overlying ticket, isn't it, that you want to be more worried about the actual creation of a 3D model for your main character, and that's what you've done, isn't it?
Yeah. So at this point, I guess I'd say to you, Will, if do you accept the 3 points for my?
I believe
character?
so. Yes, I do not see any reason why you should not have your 3 points for that.
Okay, so I'll move that in, and then we'll let you go. I'll let you move on.
All right, excellent. And again, very well done on that, because that I know from when I started Blender myself that is an actual lot of work that you've put into it from there. And I would argue that, and you can probably tell me yourself, it's taken a lot longer than the ticket allocation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, I tried to, in this case, I knew what I was getting into, and I knew it probably wouldn't be worth that for, again, it based on experience. So you can, for example, Infanzia again, who's been that's been the main the video or the
Yeah, he's fantastic.
YouTuber that I've watched.
Yeah.
He clearly he'd make that in, you know, at most it'd probably take him 10 minutes. So given that, you know, I did account for a lot of that, but yeah, this is definitely more than an 8-hour build
Yeah.
for this guy. So, but which is fine. I mean, if you had argued it was only worth 2 in traditional sense, I probably wouldn't fight too hard on that, because I right now, if I had to recreate him, I probably do it in half the time.
No, it's absolutely worth the full points. So
Okay,
well done on that. You've that's one ticket each that we've done there. So that's 1 point each. No, sorry, yours is 3 and mine's 1 at the moment. So what I could actually do is I could say right now you're sitting at 3. And right now I'm sitting at 1. So those points should now be updated on screen so we can see those. Okay, so I'm going to jump, in that case then, Mike, I'm going to jump into my next ticket.
sure.
Okay, and I think what I'll do is I'll go through, I think I'll do the start screen, because there's actually 2 tickets related to that. There's one of the actual designing of the start screen, and the other one is the actual implementation of the start screen into the actual game. So I'm just going to move these to the top, as these are the ones we're talking about. So let's first look at the design of the start screen. So I'm going to switch back to Unity. And we can see that I have this here, which is my Hexplosions logo, which is the name of the game is Hexplosions, because they're hexagons. And then this is all I've got. I've got a title. I've got these are 3D objects here as well in the scene. I have a press, whatever that is, to start, and I have my little logo at the bottom here that says "Made with Love" by GameDevGuy, which a lot of you may not have realised, but I actually had my designer and my very good friend / co-founder of my agency do some branding for me on GameDevGuy. And the GameDevGuy logo is in the shape of a heart, but what you can actually see is a GDG that makes up the heart as well. So shout out to Adam, because I know he's going to watch this at some point. You did a really good job of that. It's a really nice logo. So you see my home screen here, Hexplosions. I've got my Hex here. I've got Press to Start, and I've got my Made with Love by GameDevGuy on the bottom. So that's the design for my screen. And this is actually implemented inside the game as well. So I'm showing you 2 tickets at the same time. I've done the design, and this is actually in Unity right now. So I've actually gone a step further though. I've actually made it so that I've started to put in controller support into the game to get it going ready, and I've actually started to work on the home screen here where it says press menu button to start. That actually changes depending on what input you're using for the game. So if I just hit play here, you'll see it defaults to, this is going to be keyboard and mouse. I haven't actually got an icon in there yet for keyboard and mouse, but if I turn my controller on, straight away you see on the bottom left, default to Xbox controller. It's found it here, and it changes the iconography then to be the Xbox buttons. So I've kind of got all of that working as well. So I went over what I wanted to do, but I just wanted to get that working anyway. So again, haven't added anything onto the ticket at all. That's just part and parcel of what we do here. So if I hit A to start, you'll see that it's implemented as well. So A to start, and it takes me into the game. So very simply, the design of the screen, I'll go back to Trello. The design of the screen, which is here, I had that as 1.1 to 2 hours. And I also had the implementation of the start screen. I had that as 1.1 to 2 hours as well. So completed both of those. The design process and the implementation of the controller fundamentals took a little bit longer than that, but as far as I'm concerned, that's what I said I was going to do, and that's what I've done. So what say you, Mr. Mike?
I'd say you're good. I like it. I like the I feel like it's really polished.
I've already I do kind of work like that in that kind of environment because I've got a very strong design background. I kind of work with design at the forefront of what I do. So, and you'll see this often with Mike. What are you showing on your screen there? We've kind of got screen inception going on. Are you playing with your scenes? So I kind of, whenever I start programming, I work with design at the forefront of what I do to make sure that whatever I'm producing actually looks good on the screen, because I've found over the years that I've been doing programming in general that when I'm looking at something that looks good, it spurs me on all that more to actually go ahead and complete something even better. But if I'm looking at standard blocks and cubes and cuboids and spheres on the screen, it doesn't really give me any kind of extra kind of oomph to go forward with anything. So I do put design on the forefront of that side of things. So in terms of designing the start screen, we're saying done, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move that. And then implementation of start screen, we're saying done.
Done.
All right, move that over. So that gives me another 2 points for what I'm doing there. So I'm going to change my point. And now we are level pegging again. So I suppose now let's jump on to your next ticket.
Okay, I guess we can look at my seeing as I've kind of teased it a bit there, we can, I guess, go to the guitar.
Yep.
Okay, so obviously this one I just had model textures, and let me go back to this. So do you see the blender now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So here's the guitar. Actually, this is not the. I have to open. I was just right now while you were in the middle of it. I was still trying to figure out how to grab that. How to get my rig up for this guy.
Right.
I'm not sure what I did, but anyways. So let me hide these. If I hide the armature here, okay. So again, this guitar is loosely based off of the guitar, the same one that I have. I did a in Photoshop, I think, just the 2D um, artwork. So I kind of went with that. I reversed the color, so I did this swirl pattern going around. This is kind of a I don't know if there's any guitarists that are going to watch this at all. A little bit of a Zach Wild inspiration here for that design, and I wanted to. So I used the mirror modifier, same as I did kind of creating this guy for the first bit, um, and then at the end I wanted to offset it so. Just to make this a bit lower for his hand to slide a bit further down, and this one to be off. I didn't want it to be uniform. Um, the head, I don't know what I was. This wasn't planned. I just kind of started going with the headstock, um, and it just kind of came as it just as I was kind of drawing it all. So um,
It looks great.
yeah, I didn't put any. I was going to put um, the tuners on there, but I decided I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna put strings, and I'm probably not gonna put frets because you're not gonna be able to see it in the game anyways. But I definitely need something. So again, the goal of my game, he's gonna be strumming to shoot out music notes, but also he's going to be using this as a weapon to swing to hit with.
Yeah.
So uh, again, I didn't want to focus on that. So I've got the pickups, I've got your treble and your volume knob, and yeah, so this, again, this pretty much the whole thing, most of it, I think, except for I think I changed a couple of things in since the video, but in that last video I posted, you actually watched me build this pretty much from scratch. So I did learn not from, um, I don't think I must have seen it in one of the videos. It may not have been in Fezio, but I didn't know how to bring this down properly. So I actually used the subdivide tool. So I'm actually learning a couple of other things in Blender. So I'm getting there. And then, yeah, so I, as far as that goes, I guess, are you good with,
Absolutely. I think I think you've done a really good job on that as well. So yeah, I would say that is 100% very worthy of those 2 points.
okay, so that's this guy.
Okay, and now I'm going
Oh,
to.
you know what? Well, I guess I have to show that after. So we'll go back to you.
I'm going to update your points. So you are now on 5. 5 versus 3. And
Okay.
it's worth knowing if you're only just if you zoom in and you just got to this point in the video, we both have an allocation of I think it's 9 points, Mike, for this
Yeah,
devlog.
it seemed to be. It wasn't planned that way at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, it wasn't, but it just turned out the tickets that we'd said that we could do actually equaled the same amount of points, which is nice anyway. Okay, so let's jump back to Trello for me. So the other 2 tickets I had were implementation of the current selection marker, which is just so you know which elements of the grid you're actually on right now to put a game piece on. And the main one for me was the create the grid and game board algorithm to determine the win lines. That was the main one for me because I'd had a stab at this previously, 6 months, maybe a year ago, and I'd ended up producing something crazy like I don't know 700 lines of code or something in order to kind of get this algorithm working, which just wasn't the right way to do it. So I actually I can show you that working. I think let me switch to Unity. So right now we have on the board here, you can see that we have a yellow, a yellow, a yellow, which is one match. If you were putting these pieces on the board as you were playing them, the object of the game is to see these pieces, the X, A, and a B at the bottom. The object of the game is to continuously be able to place these pieces into that grid somewhere where there's a gap. Now, the object of the game is to continue doing that and build up your score for as long as you can. If you get to a point where you've placed one of these in an incorrect place, you're not going to be able to place the next one. Therefore, the grid's going to be full. You're not going to be able to place your shape. It's going to be game over. You know, that's the premise of the game. So I've put these...
just so we're playing along right now. So the one you've got set up for X right now, that can only fit in the upper right.
No, that can only fit in this one here, bottom middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's two rings. There's two rings. So how does that the X the middle the outer ring of what's X right now?
Yes.
Looks like it only fits in.
Yeah, it's the scaling makes it look a bit different, so I need to change the scaling to be the same, because what actually happens is this purple one here would fit in the center of this one here.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so that would only fit there. The B would only fit on the middle left here, and the A would then fit into the top right, but then you'd be limited on the spaces. So the reason that I've put these in there already, so you can see kind of some colors on the grid, is for testing purposes, because one of my tickets to actually make the game work is not actually ready yet. That's not one of the tickets I had. So in order for me to be able to test if the algorithm actually works, I had to put these pieces in place so that when I run the game, I can do some debug logs and it will tell me if I've actually got a match or not. So in the instance of the example we're looking at here, we have a yellow, and a yellow. So that's one match. We have a pink, and a pink. That's another match. We have a green, green. That's another match. We have a purple, purple. That's another match. And what we also have here is a green, green in the one same section. So that's a full hex. You get extra points if you get one of those, the same color all in one block. So if I go into console here, you will see that my debug statement prints out true for the color pink, true for the color purple, true for the color yellow, true for the color blue, and a full hex is found. So that's 4 matches plus a hex. If I go back, 4 matches plus a hex. And I can go one further on that, and I can show you in Rider. Rider, by the way, I was talking about this with Mike before we actually started the stream, and I've started to use Rider instead of Visual Studio and VS Code. And I find it's an absolute fantastic piece of software. It doesn't hold your hand, but what it does is it tries to tell you when you're coding in a style that is not the preferred style, is not kind of the set style for whatever language you're working in. So in the case of C#, it makes you do things in a certain way. If you're using camel case or any other case for that matter, it will tell you if you're doing it in the wrong way. So I was trying to show Mike what this looked like before we started the broadcast, but we ran out of time going through that. So I think I would actually do a tutorial on this later on to say why Rider is one of the IDEs that I found is better for actually C# development, but that's by the by. Let's jump into the grid manager. You can see I check for a complete hex. This is just so that you know, Mike, that my logic is actually there and I'm not just printing out debug logs in there. So I hit this check for complete hex. I go through all of the pieces, check the inner, middle, and outer piece match. If they match, then I print out the full hex. Full hex found debug log that you can see there. And then I also have this long-ass one here, which is check for the lines on row 0, 1, 2, check for columns, and check for diagonals. So I've got all of these methods in place. If I just take you, so this is checking for diagonal lines, all of this code here. So I'm not going to go into it, but what I will do is scroll slowly up it. And if you wanted to watch the video back later on and just watch it in a slower speed, you'll be able to see all of that code in there. Up to this point here, that was all of that one method just to go diagonal and actually figure them out. So I think it's about 70 lines for each kind of, for a row, for a column, and for diagonal. So quite a bit of code in there. but I've also gone one step further, ready for when I actually go into the gameplay parts of the game where I want to start placing items to the grid. And actually what happens now is, if you can see the grid again here, the yellow, 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 and the green, 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 all of these matches here, all of the pieces that actually become part of the matched items on my grid are right now stored in a get ready to destroy array within the software. So ideally what happens is, if you drag a piece from X, A, or B into the grid and it's a match, it will do some kind of particle effect, wow, on the screen, and then it will disappear from the screen so you can continue filling your grid, right? So right now what's actually happened is these are now ready for me to start actually putting some particle effects and removing them from the grid. So I actually went one step further in the gameplay and actually provided that functionality ready for me to go next time. So I guess in terms of the actual ticket itself, which sits at a very simple, well, sounds simple, create grid and game board algorithm to determine win lines. Mike, what say you on that side of things?
I say it looks good. I'm actually I kind of want to see it in action.
Yeah, and I
I
will
know
show
I
you
know
that.
it's not part of this. I'm just, but it's that speaks volumes to what you're doing. Is it looks very interesting, and one of those. It just looks potentially addicting, but at the very least, um, it's something that you like. Right now. It looks like you want to put on my phone and go play that instead of listening to you. But either way, yeah, no, you're that's uh, yeah, you're good with those points.
All right, so in that case, then I am going to switch back to the Trello one here, and I'm going to move these across. Now, it's worth bearing in mind as well that this didn't take 15 hours. It took 17 to 18 hours to actually complete. But again, I think I was quite close with this one. It's really hard to actually get close to, because when we decide what we think these tickets are worth at the start, it's really hard to envisage what's going to happen. Like we spoke about at the earliest part of the stream, is that things can happen. Things can happen good as well. Like you're able to figure things out quicker than you thought you would. You'll be able to get things quicker. But yeah, in most cases, the timings that you put on a ticket are going to be kind of thereabouts, but you're most likely going to go over, right? We all know that. But in this instance, yeah, it took.
Yeah, you were I don't know how you came to 15 hours, just to be honest. I mean, you were close, but that yeah, you knew it was going to take you, excuse me. You knew it was going to take you a while. It's something that you did you've obviously thought about and figured it was going to take quite a bit, but
Yeah,
yeah.
so it took it in total around about 17 and a half hours. So that for me is completed. So I'm going to put that into accepted points. Now that is worth a total of 5 points because that was my main ticket. So I'm going to change mine now to be 8. So I'm going to leave for the first time today. Woo! So I guess it's on to you, Mike. Let's see your wares.
Okay, sure. I'm gonna do it. Let's do a twofer because I kind of showed the one. Right now we'll go with the rigged. We'll go. In fact, I'll go with the just rigging him. So I needed him to be rigged and posable. Right now, I'm not sure what the hell I did in Blender, and in fact, I may have to re-rig him again. But I'm not afraid to do that more. If I have to keep doing these things over, it just gives me more practice. But
Sure.
with that being said, let me switch over to Unity here, and so I can show you. He actually has right now an idle animation again. I've done no animating of my own yet. If I go into the animator, you can see he's set to idle,
Yeah.
and then I've got him to. What I can do is, if I just transfer from, let's go from this to here, and we'll have exit time. Okay, so I'm just going to play this and let my computer do whatever it's trying to do here, and then actually maybe. Oops, I hit the wrong thing. Let's maximize this guy. Okay, so I don't know if you can tell that he is kind of moving. he should just cycle if I did this right there. So now you see again, that's just
Yeah.
again, Max or Mixamo. I think I keep calling it Maximo. So then standing up and then back to idle. So um, the animation isn't part of the thing, but this was just mostly to showcase that he obviously is rigged.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm gonna, before we go back over, let me switch the scene back to Blender, and then I can show you. So here's the guitar right now. I don't know. I did an earlier video, YouTube video on rigging something like this, a 2D version of this, and it didn't go. It didn't go the way I had expected, and it looked a little bit sexual, which was not what I was going for. However, just for the sake of rigging something, I decided to, if I can figure out how to select this guy, and then I don't that pose mode. There we go. Click on this bone. So now if I hit there, you can see that I'm actually
Yeah.
so. I do have this guitar rigged. So this now is rigged, and I have this guy rigged. So that is actually with those. That's this guy rigged, which I gave 1 point.
Yeah.
And then
Awarded.
also my guitar. So the guitar, sorry, and the main character. And so I didn't really add any more detail to these guys. It was basically just putting them because I wasn't planning on animating just yet. The only way I could think of testing it, other than manually manipulating the meshes, was to throw Mixamo Animations in there just for the sake of it. So with both this, the guitar rig, and the main character rig, you cool with the 1 point apiece?
I confirm that you very much earned the 2 points on both of those. Yep.
Okay. So I think that still puts me trailing by 1.
Let's take a look, shall we? So it does. So let's make it better, and you can go ahead now and do your next one, I guess.
Sure. Okay. So let's, either one of these can tie it up. This one will take me a bit. So let's go. We'll try this one for the input. So let me go to, let's go to Visual Studio here. Okay. So I've got, I did both controls with my, with the Trello. This is with, let's see, which one is my, I wanted to do the new input as well as the old, just to see which one I was going to get a feel for. So here I've got just your traditional controls for, input for your speed, your typical traditional movement. This is really what I wanted to focus on with the new controls, new Unity input, because I've never attempted it yet, and I can see the benefit of the new Unity input with respect to not necessarily what I'm going to be doing in this game, but with a lot of other types of genres or even other implementations, which I may even take this into that direction. The one thing, so I've watched quite a few. If you watch any two YouTube videos based on Unity's new input setup, you won't find them identical. So I've watched a couple of people. Brackies is kind of the one that I went with here.
Rest in peace, Brackies.
Yeah. So the one thing that I noticed that he doesn't do, and this might be just a limitation of my understanding of.
Sorry, Mike. Brackies isn't dead, by the way, people. It's just his channel. He's just decided to stop his channel. Go, Mike.
Yeah, no, I know. Shout out to him for everything else. I managed to get in. I guess. Well, it's not like he's deleting his channel, right?
No, he's keeping it up. It's just that I said rest in peace, Brackies. I actually meant his channel.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. He is still very much whatever. I'm not moving. I'm not going to touch that. Anyways, so one thing that with these actions that he subscribes here, but rather than unsubscribing, he's just in the disable. He's just disabling the whole thing.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's um, it, if that's what I should be doing, but I like it better than having to unsubscribe to all of these and subscribing to these actions. So it seems to work in the sense of I'll show you in one sec here. But I do have, just if we can go back, I'll show you my Trello because I have to break that down into. So for what I've done for my inputs here, I wanted to get, obviously, like I say, your traditional input just to do it, but and then I put question marks for the new input method and decided just to I had to commit. So I did movement, jumping. I don't know if how much I'm going to implement jumping into the game, but I figured you can always have it set up. So strum is going to be one of my attacks. Swing is going to be another attack, and power slide. Again, I want to put this to make this mobile friendly. So I'm not 100% sure when I'll implement this. Just I don't want to have 1,000 different buttons on the screen for mobile to be able to do different things. So this may just be part of a combo that just happens. But at this point, I've set it up as its own input. So going back to the Visual Studio here. So I've got my move, strum, swing, jump, and power slide. And then for jumping, I've actually I have implemented the jump. For strumming, so I've just got right now just debug logs for strum, swing, because I need to animate. I have to set up animations for that, uh, which I haven't done yet. Moving, I've obviously got moving, and then there's something else that I've always used. So if I've done any kind of character with jumping, I usually just do an add force or something like that. So I decided one of the things that with Game Dev HQ, so John Weinberger and Al Heck, it's a site that they run. Um, they use they've got a tutorial based with a character using the character controller with a movement. It already has a movement class in it. So I thought, again, if I'm trying new stuff here with Blender, with the new Unity input controls, I figured why not go all out and try to get some of this character controller functionality with it. So I've done all that, and now if I'll go back to the my Unity here, and I've got, so here's the input actions window. Most of these I've left as, so this all comes with default. And then I haven't implemented anything with the look, but so I've got strum, and that's going to be at this point, I might make this a secondary button as opposed to right now it's kind of primary. But I've got a jump, and then, I've set up the different, right now, it's all keyboard based just to do these guys, because I haven't decided how I'm going to implement them yet. But you'll see, so if I hit play again, now I think I've got that animation going, but if I'm moving right now, you can't tell I'm moving with the left, right? Spacebar, I've got him jumping. He has kind of a weak double jump here. And then, so when I click here, you'll see if I bring up my console, you can see he's strummed. I think I've got left click. Yeah, so you swung the guitar. Control is the power slide. So right now, everything's set up to do with all of my functionality here. I think that's everything to do with my controls. The only other thing was that I've got this is set up. I do have an player old controls in my game. I've got a little test character that I thought I had in here, but either way, if I go to my scripts, I don't know. Right now I'm lost as to which screen I'm even showing right now.
You're showing Unity
But
at the moment. And now you're back onto Visual Studio.
Yeah, so I've got Visual Studio. Yeah, so you can see I've got this is, again, your old controls are just your traditional Vector 3 input setup. But this is, I think I'm going to keep going ahead with this. The one problem I did have with my character is when I have this animation on my guy, I've got the animator here. So I was trying to use a platform, movable platform, and when I try to, if you have a platform that's moving, you know that you can't just use your traditional like translate
Yeah,
or
of course,
even
'cause they'll just fall off
move
it.
forward or whatever. So you have to, yeah, you have to. Well, I don't know if you have to do it this way, but you have to um, do a. Uh, at least what I did was I did the parent. Changed the parent of the player.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, it shifts it up. So something's wrong with my right now my animator component, and it might be one of these that I have to mess with. I haven't really done too much because I'm not at the animating stage yet. So it's something I have to look for or look at. I even try to do right now is ray casting him down to grab every parent in my script
Yeah, you
that I
should be able to
have.
do that with simple colliders, really, shouldn't you?
Yeah, so somewhere here I've got, yeah, here. So I was doing this for everything. I wanted them to. I was just gonna have the player change his parent to whatever he's on. That way I can have anything moving. Uh, and so that's why I turned this off, which is in my I forget where it is. But anyway, so that's something I've got a problem troubleshoot on my own. But as you can see, so I definitely have my controls set up at least ready to go.
Agreed.
So with that, do you accept the 1 point here?
I absolutely do. Yes.
Yeah. I would say this definitely took me longer than the 1 to 2 hours, mostly because I haven't tried the new this only because the new input. The traditional input is what I based it on because I didn't know how I was going to feel about the new input um, system. But that's not your fault. That's whatever. And it's again the unsubscribing aspect that Bracky's is showing. I don't know if that's he just was maybe just it wasn't complete, or maybe that's fine to do it that way. I don't know. It's something
No,
I haven't
he
researched any further yet.
that was done a
But
long
we'll
time
we'll see
ago.
if there's any kind of memory leaks. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying that Brackies did that a long time ago when the kind of the first versions of the new input manager were released, and there was no kind of GUI associated with them in Unity. In the most recent version, there are actually much easier methods of making all of that communicate with each other. I've actually integrated it within my game now, so I can actually give you some pointers on that
Oh,
as
have
well.
you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I feel I didn't find the only thing that I was personally that I thought was uh, not weird, but um, I like the way that this is. I've got we've got our actions here.
Yeah.
So this is great for and I just call this right. So I am subscribing here. I assume that you're doing the same thing. You're registering to these events
Nope.
or no?
Nope.
Oh, really?
Yeah, these you can get these things
So are you
handled
doing it
from.
on? Go ahead. I've seen. So I have seen where you can just essentially called something was performed, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can basically do this without registering to an event.
yeah, correct.
Is that what you did?
Yeah, I can show you that, but
Okay.
it could because in fact on my next ticket, and once you're finished this one, it actually involves input from the controller, so I can actually show you how I got that working using the same methods.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd love that because again, right now I'd have to keep looking at this to kind of figure out how it's going because it's not the way that I copied. You're right. I now that you mention it, Bracky's that video did seem a bit. I believe it was like a year
Yeah,
plus ago from that video. But it was one of the ones that was easiest for me, at least, to transition from that input system with the character controls. So yeah, I would absolutely love something, especially if it makes it easier for me. That would
yeah,
help.
it's
But
much easier than
with
that.
that being so, with that being said, are you good with my the 1 point here?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I believe that ties us up. So now it's up to you. And again, I just want to say one thing for anybody that's watching. We've agreed that not only if we don't complete something. So right now we're 8-8. So look at mine for example. I've got 1 point left, and let's say for whatever reason that Will disagrees or we both agree that I didn't complete it. I don't it's not that I just didn't get that ninth point. I actually lose whatever I don't complete. So that puts me down to 7 points. So we're actually you subtracting points for whatever that you've claimed that you're going to complete and don't manage to finish on time. So that's just to kind of re-update people that maybe
Yeah.
weren't aware of how we're keeping our points. Okay. Anyway, so I guess that's back to you now.
All right. So that's 8-8 at the moment. So I guess my last ticket is the implementation of the current selection marker, and I've put their default simple outline. I've got it down as 1.1 to 2 hours. This one did actually take me a couple of hours to complete, purely because I was playing around with the input system myself with the controller, trying to figure out, because I'm using the analog sticks to actually move left and right through the grid, and the values that the analog sticks provide are float values, so it's not like kind of with a button press you can just detect that the button's been pressed and do that action based on it. But where a thumbstick is concerned, there's a couple more things you have to take into account. So I can show you what that looks like. Let me move back to Unity. So I'm going to turn on.
I can't actually see your screen, but there we go.
Yeah.
Let me just say real quick, you're using vector 2 input that, like, even right now with my movement, I'm using that. I'm calling that an update. I'm not calling. You can't really call that on a analog controller, right?
Well,
I assume you're doing the same thing.
No, that I would use that method if I needed the button press or the thumbstick to be recognized in my update method, like it needed to be on every frame. But in this instance, I just need to know when the user has actually gone left, gone right, gone up, or gone down just once for that action.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, because you're actually fixed increments. So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. So if you take a look at the screen that I've got showing right now, you'll see my game in the game screen. Yep. You see right now we're selected top left here. That's the default one selected top left. Now, if I start moving through, you can see that you see that
nice.
white one moving. So that tells me which part of the grid I'm on. So in the instance of the gameplay, if I was on this one and I pressed X, as part of one of my next tickets, the bottom left one here would move from here into here, and if it was a match, it would explode and it would be removed from the grid. So this just tells you which one you're ready to place the next piece onto. And this is done, like I said, with the thumbstick. So if I go into my input actions here, you'll see I've actually got two different action maps here. I've got one for the UI, which is the start screen, so I detect the start button. And I let them move to the next. Then I've got another one for the actual player, which is the gameplay. I tried to separate those things out because I don't want the same controller to be used for the actual gameplay as what I do for the main screen, because the main screen will, in the future, have things like settings and all that kind of thing associated with it. So I don't want to get the buttons confused. So in this instance, the move, I have a 2D vector set up as an analog inside my input actions. And then I get the up value, the up, down, left, and the right values for that left stick. Now, where I was telling you before, the beauty of doing it in this way with the new input system is if I just switch to Rider and I go into my game manager, this is where I handle the moving of that grid marker, and you'll see in there's none of the context stuff for this is my move marker is a method that's got the callback context, but there's no subscribing to it, and there's no unsubscribe, but there's nothing like that in there. It's just literally based upon here. So I get the horizontal movement and the vertical movement from the thumbstick, but I get the fact is
okay. So sorry, I can't quite I can't quite make out what the text yet. But let me just ask real quick: is I know one of the issues, depending on how you did this, would be potentially not being able to change the layout. So your mapping. So right now, yeah. Oh, you've got it moved. You don't have it actually calling for a specific input. So no,
No.
that does
So
work.
so
Okay, I can see now.
I hit this
I've answered my own
method. Yeah, I hit this method from the context, but I store the horizontal and vertical movement, and then I just checked that the context.performed is true. And if it's true, then I know that the thumbstick has actually been pressed in my threshold. So I've got a threshold set here, which is set as a constant up at the top here. So I know that if somebody's just kind of moving the thumbstick a little bit, it's not going to register, right? It's got to be over that threshold of 0.7 before it registers, because it's very easy to kind of knock your thumbstick. So that, and I'll show you where this is coming from.
Have you tried that?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Oh, would that be? Have you tried that with a like more what my kind of input, where it's constantly reading a float value based on if it's moving. So if it's 0, that's easy enough to do. But how is it? How does this work with like if I'm trying to?
It's
The
the
difference
exact
between,
same.
let's say, running and walking.
No, it's the exact same.
Like
so there's 0.7 for.
It'd be smooth.
Yeah, absolutely. So you see here we've got
Okay.
the threshold I get.
So my point being that I would be able to avoid using update for the controls altogether then, in my case.
Not in your case of wanting to move left and right. The reason it works for me, the reason it works for me in this situation is because all I need to know is that the user pressed left once, and therefore I need to move left on the grid. And likewise, I need to move right or up or down. Whereas with the platform game that you're working on, or indeed any other kind of game where you're moving constantly within the frame rate, you have to constantly be pooling for that horizontal and vertical. So that's why you store it in the update. But if I jump back to Unity, all of the buttons here that are in my input actions actually come from my game manager here, and you see this player input inside Unity. Can you see this on the right?
Yeah.
Inside here, you've got events, and inside here you can see all of the events for.
Yeah, I don't like. Yeah, I know. I don't. I'd rather do it through. Oh, did you actually plug some into there?
Yeah, I've got my move.
I know you can
here.
do it that way.
Yeah, this is my move. So the only thing that I had to do to make that method be hit when I moved the thumbstick was add an entry into the player here, move callback context, and give it the method name in here. So that automatically subscribes me to that method straight away. I don't have to do anything else from there. I invoke Unity events using the actual player input component in here.
Yeah, but you'd have right. You have to do one or the other, though. Then basically, you have to do what I'm doing, or you have to do that, right?
Yes. Yeah. So,
yeah.
but doing it this way,
I just like, from my peace of mind, I always personally, I just forget to look here a lot of times when I'm trying to do my own debugging. I try to avoid doing that unless it's again, nothing against that method. Just it's my own sanity. I just have an easier. My instinct goes to the code to go look for problems, and if I've got something in one of those, I always forget to look there. I guess it's probably mostly because I don't use the input or the events that way. But anyways,
sure. Yeah, sure.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So look, that's how I did it in here. And then if we'll just look back on Unity again on the main screen, you can see that I can move between all those. Can't make mistakes. Does it very, very nicely across every part of the grid. So there's no way a user can accidentally just kind of knock the thumbstick and be taken in it. And it works really, really nice. And you can see I've got some of the logic I spoke about of detecting what kind of input source I'm actually using. You can see in the console log statements there that it does actually know that I'm using the Xbox controller. So at the moment, I've defaulted it to, even if I've got a keyboard and mouse associated with it, if I've got a controller that's turned on, ready to go, I'm going to default to that controller. In a future version, I'll allow the user to select what that looks like. So, but in terms of the ticket that we're working on here, it's the ability to have a marker that displays which grid item you're actually on and be able to move through that. So I suppose the question goes back to yourself. Do you consider that ticket done?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only thing is I'm just curious. You're still playing on this to be, I'm assuming, mobile, right? As well.
So there's a couple of ways that I want to do it. There's mobile, there's Steam, and potentially also Xbox and PlayStation later on as well. It's a very simple game, but it's one of those kind of games that I don't know whether you ever played it, but I played a game several years ago called Hexic. I'm not sure if you've ever played it, but it was on the Xbox 360, and then I think it later moved on to the Xbox One as well. And it was kind of a hexagon grid, but it was lots of different ones, and you had to move and match three and stuff. And the amount of times, the amount of hours that I actually spent, just, you know, sometimes you just want to sit down and get on a game that's not going to take you through a massive quest or, you know, 10 races or anything like that. You just want a quick game to play, sit down and play. That's what that game was, and that's what I want this game to be as well. So I think it's perfectly suited to just sitting there, just having a chill, playing on the control, and, you know, just playing a simple game. So I think I'm going to adapt it to mobile, Steam, and potentially Xbox and PlayStation later on. But I'm focusing on Steam first, so I can get a version up and running and actually on the store. So,
Okay.
so I guess we're saying that ticket's complete. So let's see that happen. Let's move that.
Yep.
And that's all of my tickets for this devlog. I'm going to move that up, and I'm going to award myself that point. So that leaves the ball in your court, Mr. Mike.
Okay.
9 to
So
8.
for the last, and this maybe this should have been first, is mostly just about gameplay. So essentially, I wanted to come up with, you know, a bit of a background for the character, and then obviously what the whole story is about. So, as you've seen in, what I've kind of got going here in my Unity game here, is basically the platform. Again, I'm not sure how much it's going to be involved with jumping and getting around that way. It's going to be basically characters coming at you that you want to shoot at, hack and slash. But the background is basically that I've got this character who's stumbled upon this really unique chord, is basically the story, which opens him up to a portal to not hell per se, but a demon like, we'll say, realm. And the only way back is you have to find pieces of this special guitar you'll put together once you've completed them all, and then that's the only way back. So as you progress, you'll have to find each relevant piece of the guitar, and then once you get a new piece, you can actually upgrade your current guitar so that you'll be a little bit more powerful. Maybe have some more weapons to shoot out with or whatever. But again, the goal is that you want to get back to your current realm, and you have to take on different. My goal is also to have different genres of music that you've got to take on as well. So the first one will be kind of like a heavier type metal, genty type level. And I'll have different, again, levels will be different genres potentially, and boss fights that'll be obviously the leader of that type, that style. So I have to be careful because one of the worst genres of music for me is country, because even the guitars whine in that style. So I don't want to be listening to a game with country throughout the whole thing. But I may have to do something like that just to maybe torment people. I know there are people out there that like country, but too bad. Nobody's perfect. So anyways, that's kind of my backstory with my goal, and taking on demon type other characters. Again, bosses may or may not have guitars and other instruments as well, but there's going to be a lot of music in the game itself. So I'm going to have sounds for shooting and stuff. So I have to be careful with that, not being obnoxious, similar to the Skype phone call that we've learned earlier today. But yeah, so the motivation is basically you want to pick up those guitar components to actually have your main guitar to get you back, and then you'll be able to use. It'll be upgrading your current guitar on the way. So when you pick up something, it's not just something you'll have in your itinerary. You'll actually have be able to. It'll upgrade your skill. It's in some regards. So with that, that's my last point, Will.
All right.
So again, if you're agreeing for this, that ties us.
I am
If
absolutely agreeing to that.
you agree with that, okay. So the other part that we've agreed on is there has to be a winner, at least one loser. So we may not have a winner, but we can't have zero losers. So one of us has to lose. So at this point, I would say if there's still anybody following along, maybe again, this is up. Let's vote on this. We can have whoever's with us maybe reach out and say who they think did worse or did better, and we'll give it maybe a couple of, I don't know, a minute.
Well,
or two,
I think one thing that I'd like
unless
to
you've got a better way.
Yeah, I think one thing that I'd like to do on this one in particular is to actually award you the win myself, and this is purely based on the fact that the having you patrol through all of these YouTube videos and get you to the point where I pushed you into using Blender, into getting your character working that way, and
you did,
and you persevered with it, and you went the extra mile, and you actually went ahead and did all of that. I think purely based on that reason alone, I think you went above and beyond what was being requested from your ticket. So I think in that instance, I would like to.
I would say this. I will have to say though, you again, we did talk about this a lot. So even before the first video, you knew that there was a struggle because I wasn't sure. I've already had the idea of kind of the gameplay. I always wanted a 2D, side scroller with kind of this idea with the guitarist in mind, but I had no idea. You definitely did motivate me with to go with the to attempt Blender, and if it wasn't for you, because you also did recommend Infenzia's video. I'm not even sure if I'm saying that properly.
Infenzia,
but yeah, and again, watching him again do his characters in 10 minutes wasn't so much that I felt like I could do it, but it was the fact that it was low poly, which is, you don't have to be clearly basically, you can look at my own work. You don't have to be, any kind of advanced artist to be able to pick up. So it was with that, it kind of influenced me to go pick up, to attempt Blender, go with my 2.5D style that I want to make, and also low poly. So with your recommendations, that pretty much put me on this path. So it's equally worthy to say that you would deserve the win, just as much for recommending it. I will take the win though, but I will say you definitely deserve. You were a big part of this. You did help out quite a bit. Given I was really undecided, I hadn't committed.
Well, yeah, I mean, Peggy has just put on live chat as well, that she feels that you had a lot of challenges to overcome as well. So there's a vote there going from Peggy direct to yourself as well. So I don't think we need
Thank you, Peggy.
I don't think we need to dwell on that any more than we need to. I think you did go above and beyond, and you did get a lot of stuff done with your character, which would have taken a lot many more hours than were allocated to the ticket. So I think purely based on that, I think it'll be wrong of me not to give you the win in this situation.
Well, I'll take this. Normally, I'm, one of those open the door. No, you go first. You go first. However, in the fear of being shut out, I'll take the win so that at least I can say I've managed to get on the board at some point. So, like you say, let's not dwell on this. But we do have. There's one other thing to do. Order of business, and that is the penalty for the loser. Now, I know you mentioned. The chipmunk voice for the loser. I don't know. Again, this is this is something else that's also new to me with the streaming. With again the software that we're using to stream, part of the reason that we were late is that's on me as well. Will, I know he mentioned a headset thing, but he was helping me set up my side of this as well. So that did start us off behind. But we do need to get to the penalty, and then I guess we have to go with our talk the talk for next week, right?
Yeah, I mean, we said that potentially one of the things that we could be doing was changing our voice into something different on the next stream for the talk the talk section.
Oh, so we're not going to do it for this one?
Oh no. We said
okay.
No, I think we do it on the next one.
You know what? Let's not tempt fate here with the issues we had at the beginning. So I'm with you in that we do it for our talk to talk for the next week. And so if we're good with that punishment to be next week, we could even put it up for a vote on the socials, as you say. It's up to you. I'll leave this call to you, seeing as that you're the one with the penalty. But moving forward, I say let's get started on our what we were planning to do for our next set.
Okay. All right. So I think we're looking at around about 2 hours for the stream so far. So I think I'll go through the tickets that I'm going to be planning on working on for the next set. I'll go through those pretty quickly. So I've got my Trello board open right now, and I have my gameplay backlog. So I'm going to change this to be DevLog Battle 2. And I don't know how long it's going to take just yet. So
yeah, this is going to be the complicated part, because we last time we had the benefit of doing this ahead of time. So I guess we can go. I'm going to kind of try to, seeing as that 9 hours ish, or the 9 points. I mean, that seems like a good goal.
Yeah,
at least for me.
Yeah,
to hit. So I think I'm going to kind of aim for that same time. And if I hit something more than 10, I think I'm going to back off something. So
okay,
that's just for my own reference here. So
all right. So from a logic point of view, implementing the score, implementing the leaderboards, implementing the game over, and the explosion animation doesn't really come into play unless I have the ability to add the pieces to the game grid from the player input. So this is the ticket that's got to go in there first. That's got to be the next ticket that I work on. Now I have already.
Okay. How many points is that?
I've set this up to be around about half a day, so 2 points.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah, just the ability to accept the input and put it into screen. Yeah, I think 2 points, half a day.
All right.
Then I want to look at the actually having implementing the explosion animation for the match lines, because I think that's what's going to make this game start popping. Like, I add something to the grid, and if I've got a match, boom, something happens on the screen, and it makes the game come alive from that point. So I think based on that, I think there's going to be some particle effects in there. There's going to be some maybe rotation, maybe some collapsing of the actual object itself, so they fall out of the screen, so something looks really cool. And I think I'd like to give that. A full day, because I don't think I'm going to give it enough credit if I kind of just give it a very simple particle effect and be done with it. I think it needs a little bit something more than that, because based off the game, that the object of the game is to actually make these matches, and if I'm not rewarding a player for actually making those matches with something spectacular, I don't think it's going to be worthy of it. So I think spending a day on that will give me something. I agree. Okay, so I'm going to set that to be 3 points, and that's for a full day. So, okay. So that gives me half a day and a full day, so that's 1.5 days worth. Now, after I've put an item onto the grid, I've exploded any matches, I've then got the ability to track a score of fashion from that point. So I'm going to implement the score at that point, because I have something to score, right? Implementing the score is going to be very, very simple. It's going to be kind of a label on the screen. There's going to be, whenever you make a match, there's going to be a certain amount for that match. If you make 2 consecutive or 3 consecutive, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth, there'll be a multiplier attached to that. So if you if you make a match and then you put an item in the grid and it's not a match, it'll go back to default to 1 multiplier. But if you get a match, then you get another match and another match, so on, it will multiply those scores up on and on. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so.
So it's kind of the longer you continue to get matches with each piece you put up, the higher your multiplier goes and the more score you get for the next one you add to the grid. But as soon as you don't get a match, that multiplier resets and goes back to 1. So that's kind of what I want to put into place there. Now, that
you don't have the offset though? Yeah.
Say that again. Sorry,
your multiplier set up yet?
Okay. No, I have not.
Right now, you don't have it.
No, I have none of that set up at all. Yeah, all of that logic.
No, I mean mentally, like it's going to go like 2 times, 4 times. Are you going to go with the Fibonacci multiplier? It's similar to what we're doing here.
Oh no, it's just going to literally be it's going to be multiply 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. But it's not going to be for your entire score. It's going to be, so let's say for instance, if you get 1 match with 3 objects, that'll be 3 as a score. And then if you do that the second time, the next match you have will be 6, and then it'll be 9. You know, based on whatever you've put in there. So that's kind of the way that I'm going to work it. However many, if you get a match, it goes multiplier 1. If you get another match, it goes multiplier 2. Another match goes multiplier 3. But that 3 only multiplies the actual item you just put onto the grid at that time. So on your 3rd match, you'll have a multiplier of 3, but that match that you just made will be worth 9 points.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be the whole multiplier side with the full hex side included in it. I don't think it's fair to give it 1 for 1 to 2 hours because I think it's going to take quite a bit longer than that. But I also don't think it's going to take half a day. However, this is our Fibonacci scale and this is what we base our things off. So I'm going to set that as 2, which is half a day. Are we in agreement on that?
Yeah. No, I'm good with that.
Okay. So that takes me to that one, and then I think so that's half a day. So that puts me at 2 days worth right now. So I've got space for more in there. So I think because I've got a score, because I'm now putting the items onto the grid, I've now got the ability to actually fill up the grid. Therefore, I can actually have a game over. So I'm going to do the game over screen as well. And with the game over screen comes the designing of the game over screen as well. So there's 2 tickets there. Now, implementing game over screen is going to be a very minimal task. I think that's going to be a 1. So that's a very simple 1 to 2 hours. The designing of the game over screen is something that's going to take a little bit longer. But I've already got my kind of design ideas with the game, how it's laid out right now. So I'm not going to put that into half a day. I'm going to keep that as another 1, which is 1 to 2 hours. Are you in agreement?
It's up to you. I mean, I'm thinking maybe it's easy to lose track of time when you're getting into designing your game over screen. So, I mean, if you wanted to bump that up 1, I feel like you could.
I don't think I will. I think I'll keep it where it is, because see, the thing is, it could be half a day is around about 4 hours, but and 1 is only 1 to 2 hours. Now, the same way that in the implementation of the score here, I had to put that as half a day because I didn't feel it was going to take half a day, but it was going to be close to. In the same way that I did that is the same way that I'll do this one, where I'll drop myself down 1 instead of dropping myself up. So it makes it fairer in the long term, I guess. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I can't tell from here. I'm thinking you've got, let's see, 3, 5.
I have 2.5 days worth.
How many points is that?
That equals right now 5, 6, 7. That equals 9 points.
Right on, nice.
So the next thing that I'm going to add in there, because I don't think that's enough to actually complete that side. Now, I'm happy to, if I put some more in here and it looks like I could earn like 12 points or whatever, and you could only earn 9 based off yours, I'm happy to remove some out and then keep that for another battle. But ideally, I think what I've already got in my second column here is not really a lot. I think I'm definitely not going to be at fault of getting those finished within the next 2 weeks. So I'd like to add some more into there, but I don't want it to be unfair on the amount of tickets that you're going to be able to handle. So we'll have to look at where that is once you've done yours, I guess.
Well, here's what again. I know we're kind of putting this together as we go. I'm thinking maybe who if somebody's behind, they'll have an opportunity at the end. So you've gone first now, and then now I'm going to go. And let's say if I'm at only 8 points, I feel it's only fair that you have a shot at having more to
Yeah,
be able to break even.
yeah.
Um, and then so the loser or whoever's behind, I should say whoever's behind, should have every week have an opportunity to add this, either add I guess add one more or change up to in according. So I'm okay if that you potentially have more, because that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll finish either.
No, correct.
So if you want to wait for now, let me go, and then we'll see where we're at. And if you want to add one more, I'm okay with you having a potentially higher score.
Okay, well let me just add one more into this mix now whilst I'm doing mine, because this one's going to take quite a while. So this one here is the implementation of the leaderboards. Now, what this entails is it entails a couple of things. So number one, I'll have to change it so that when you actually start the game, you are either generated a random user ID, or you actually have the ability to register as a user, which I don't think people are going to do that to play a game like this. So automatically, I think the path I'll go is I'll automatically register a guest user ID for that person. They may be able to change their name in settings to just Will or Mike or something like that, something very, very simple. And then I think from that point, I've then got to create a backend API, which I'll build in PHP Laravel. I will create a couple of API endpoints that will allow me to submit a high score at the end of a game. And I'll also create another API endpoint that will allow me to grab all of the leaderboard positions from my database and pull them into the game and then feature them in a leaderboard. So there's quite a lot of things that I need to do for that ticket. Now, I haven't gone into the ticket and done those as mini tasks right now, but I will do. But what I'm saying is right now, I feel that task itself is, especially for the API endpoint side of things, as well as the actual implementation of it, is going to be a larger task. So I've got about 2.5 days allocated to me right now on my tickets. So I'm going to say that I believe that this is going to be, it fits into a 5, which is 12 to 18 hours, which is 2 to 3 days. So I'll provisionally.
Yeah, the only thing I would change on that, sorry, is that if you could double that, because you're going to have to do that for my game as well.
Well, the way that I actually build out these the APIs anyway is that I can just literally pass you over the code. You can deploy it, change the URL in your app, and you can go off you go. You'll have your own leaderboard. So I can actually provide you with those leaderboards if you need them. But provisionally, I'll put this in, and I'm going to put it as 2 to 3 days. If and when you finish going through your Trello list, it looks like you're not going to be anywhere close to that, and we want to make it a bit fairer, then we'll talk about that at that point. But that's where I sit right now. So I sit currently with the ability to earn 5, 7, 8, 9, 14 points.
Okay, so just again to be clear, even right now, let's just I haven't looked at mine yet. Let's say I'm only good for, I don't know, 9 points again. You have the potential to also lose. So that last one is worth what, 5 points, you said?
Yep.
Yeah. So you have potential to have only 9 points and then subtract 5, which putting you at only 4. So even though you have the potential to have more, you also have the potential to lose more as well.
Yeah.
And the other thing going forward is that even if you win, we don't carry forward how much you won by, right? So
correct.
Let's say mine's, so I'm okay with that. So if we're good, I'm okay right now. Let's
Yep.
go to mine. I know what I want. Some of the things that I want to have to work on next. Let's see. Let me pull mine up here. Okay. I have this not full screen. Okay. One of the things that I really want to do is, um, I really want to create again. I that character that again from my intro videos. If you haven't seen that, you can check those out on any of the videos I've got. But I kind of want to create him. He seems like to be a lot easier to make, but loosely based on him. I really want to do this just while I still have Blender. I don't want to forget all the things that I've already been working on. So this is something that I want to do. I'm going to put this as dev battle. Um, I uh, I don't know. I don't think it'll take me that long. I'm going to say I feel like this should be 2 points. This is probably going to take me between about half a day. I don't know. Um, just creating this guy, but I definitely
Have
want
you
to
any
have
idea
something
what he
to
looks like?
attack. So I'm going to add this for. Let's go. Here's 2 points. So this is I've already moved all my character. I know we're doing this a bit different. So this is all what we've done already. Um, I'm marking what I'm going to do right now for here, just to minimize my column count for now. Anyways, now I these I want to get done. I really want to get so the idle animation. That's not going to take any time at all. I think that's only going to be 1 point. So I'm just going to mark. I'll add this. Oh, it already. Oh, dev battle. Okay. These I want to have. I really want to get these. I need to get this. This is the core gameplay. So I'm going to put these in, and these at least are going to take me 4 hours to I monkey with. Except there's a good chance that I'll have to do some weight painting with the rig. Also, I I don't know how I'm going to want this to look exactly with the swinging. So this is going to take a lot of play testing and going back and forth. This These together is what's going to really take up a full day. One of the This is probably going to take more than this, but I don't know that this is going to take exactly half. So with both of these, I feel like this is going to take me a full day. Um, and the other thing I really want to get done is this health bar. And right now, I know this looks like a lot for 4 points, but what I've got kind of in mind is what I want to have is for your health. Again, this is kind of a music inspired, or at least themed game. So I want to have a uh, like the music bar as your kind of, if you think of the music tab bar that's in for whatever, for musical scoring for your writing, and then I want to have music notes populate in different parts of that the music scale there, and that'll be represent your health, so that when you get hit, one of those will pop, with some kind of special effect, and then same thing, if you get a health pickup, they'll go back up. So I need to be able to come up with an array that will know which spot to open up. So that I think is going to take me at least half a day to kind of to go. And I've got that. I don't know how important that is in terms of getting it done first, but it's something that's been in my mind, and I've really been wanting to access this. So um, I'm I think I was going to do that, and so that puts right now that gives me 5, 7. It puts me at 9. Um, I'm really nervous about these animations. So I don't, I'll be honest. I don't know that I want to go. Let me see what else I can do. I could probably throw something else. Um, I don't want to put too many animations in the same thing. I figure at this point, uh, once I get these done, I should be a pro with animating, and these will probably be easier. But um, I don't know. I wouldn't mind. You know what? I'm gonna grab one of these as maybe a health pickup. I'm gonna need, in fact, in order to test this health bar, I'm gonna need something here that I can use. So it'll be a model I have to create in Blender that gives me one more excuse to go back into that. So I'm gonna pick one of these to go with. Oh, health pickup, perfect, right there. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with that to create a health pickup, but I got to create something for that music, themed.
Yep.
And that gives me, so I'm at 10 points. You're at 15. Did you say 15 or 14? Either way,
14.
I'm okay with, I don't mind that you have more. I don't want to, this again, I'm not, again, the animating I've done. I mean, I did a YouTube video on 2D animating. It's pretty simple. This, there's a whole obviously other dimension to it, but I'm nervous that because I haven't done any animating with 3D objects, so I don't know. I can see this being a big time sink. I don't want to change my scoring for it, but at the same time, I don't want to add any more than I've already got. So I've got what I really want to get going with the game. I'd be happy if I have all this. I have to have my character ready to start taking on people. I've got a character to take on. I've got a means of representing losing the health, and I've got a way to gain that. And I kind of need at least these three things to tie in to make sure that that's working. And then this is what I feel like is my core gameplay right here. So I kind of need these to be next. So, yeah, I as long as if you're okay with my scoring, I'm at 10 points, and I'm okay that you've got 14. If that gives you the ability to, you have to kind of be strategic too now. So you have the ability to write off 2 points and still win. But if you take on that your 5-pointer and you blow that, you're you're gonna
Yeah.
sink anyway. So I'm good. I like the ability, the chance right now that you have of winning. That really pushes me to make sure I'm finished everything.
Okay.
So
So
I'm okay. I'm okay with you being ahead potentially.
okay, well we can keep it there then. So yours can potentially get, let's have a look, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10.
I'm
So
at 10, right?
so we're looking at 10 for you, and mine is currently sitting at 14. So we've both got the potential to earn double numbers this time. And then the fact that I'm putting myself on the line and saying, like, because like Mike has already said, we have the potential to, if we don't complete one of the tickets that we say we're going to complete, that score doesn't not only get added to your score, but it also gets removed from the score that you've got. So it's the incentive to make sure that you don't fail is strong. That being said, we are now doing it over a kind of a 2-week period, so I do feel that I'm going to be able to get these done. With the only caveat being that obviously I've never done anything. So whereas the network connection side of things and APIs, etc., pulling those into an application, I've done a million times through Objective-C, Swift, Android, iOS, everything. That's what I do. That's my day-to-day job. So pulling in APIs from there and actually writing APIs in Laravel as well, that's my forte right there. But pulling them into Unity and actually having them feature in a leaderboard is something that I've never actually done inside Unity at all. I've not even looked at network connectivity inside of Unity, so that's going to be a big new one for me. But that being said, I do still feel like it's going to be something that I can get done in that time. So mine stands at 14. Mike, yours stands at 10. We now have a 2-week period where we have to walk the walk. So we call these sessions Talk the Talk. We've just done the new Talk the Talk, and next week, as we've just gone through showing you what we actually completed, that was the Walk the Walk session. So I think it went on a bit longer than I anticipated, but I think it's only because we're right in the middle of starting our projects and getting the kind of fundamentals laid in. So I see these sessions being a bit quicker in the future anyway.
Yeah.
Plus, we'll get better at explaining our kind of ticket situations and all of that kind of stuff as we go on. So I do appreciate that it's quite a long video. I do hope that the people watching have actually sat through it, or will find time later on to go back and watch some of it again. You know, maybe on a toilet break, as I kind of like to do when I watch Mike's videos. It's the only thing that helps me in that situation. But it gives you something to watch later on. I hope the banter was good for you between me and Mike, because we have a lot of banter on and off screen. So sometimes Mike gets...
This is actually tame, actually.
Yeah, this is really tame, but yeah, I think Mike, you were worthy of the win this time, purely for the fact that you had to do all of that in Blender, and what you're left with is a complete character, which I know I've got all of my objects in the scene, etc., but that's not quite the same as having a full character and animating it, you know, getting that set up. So yeah, I think you were definitely worth the win on that one. And I look forward to the
again. Yours is. I'm excited to play yours. Actually, yours is also. I have to say, it's a lot more polished than I was expecting for, at least the way I would be approaching it at this point. So, it's yours is a lot more presentable in the sense of you know, coming forth week to week here, showing everybody where you're at. So, excellent job. And for if I can pat both of us on the back. We both, at least we've completed our tasks, so we both should feel good at least of our progress.
Absolutely.
At this point. So I'm happy with where I'm at. I didn't, in all honesty, Will, thanks a lot for pushing me, because I definitely wouldn't be this far. So, and I'm happy with my character, even with flaws and all. And you deserve a lot of the thanks for that. So again, thanks a lot for the motivation, and that's kind of what these are all about. So
yeah,
it's working.
Yeah, that's it. These sessions, this is why we set up this thing to do in the first place with each other, wasn't it? You know, we both needed the kick and the push in order to proceed and get something done on our game. And I think what we're actually faced with right now is I'm almost at the position where I can start implementing the actual gameplay in my game. You've started to implement some of it in yours, and you can start to see now that your game's coming to life, whereas before it was just an idea in your head. And, you know, actually having to sit down and get these things done, you're now in a position where you can see what your game is going to start looking like. And that, I think, is the whole purpose of doing something like this, is to be left with a game at the end. And I think we're both now in a place where we can clearly see what our game is going to be from the stage we're at right now. And that's something that we both of us should be really happy about. And I'm proud of you as well, Mike.
Thanks. Again, thank you for the motivation, and again, both of us should be happy with where we are with our games. So there's nothing like having something completed to help motivate you to keep pushing you forward as well. So, and thank you to everybody, both in UK, Canada, and anywhere else that you may be watching. If you're still sticking around, again, we there's going to be a couple of hiccups with, you know, at the beginning of these till we get this sorted out. But so far so good. So,
well, you're Canadian though, Mike. So have they actually got real internet there, or is it you still like?
It's it's moose to moose.
Oh, okay.
My igloo is actually we actually have fast internet in my igloo. So.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, so we're doing well enough here. How's Brexit going, by the way?
It's not.
No, I know. I heard that already. It costs more than the International Space Station. I just heard.
Well, if we're going to go down the Brexit route, we can always go down the Trump route, but let's not go there either.
But I didn't vote it for him.
No. So as far as we're concerned from that side of things, Brexit is a non-goer. And it's, I think they're trying some more things now to get out of it as well, and that made us the laughing stock of every country in the universe. I think when all this was
it did for a bit. Yeah, you're right. But I think Trump is now. It's hard to hear anything above that.
I think within an hour of Trump going into the US, I think that was it put the nail in the coffin for everybody there straight away.
You might be literally a nail in the coffin with the COVID numbers and whatnot, but I don't want to make this political. So, anyways,
maybe we should have all injected ourselves with bleach, eh?
Hey, I'm already there.
All right, so let's we can call that a day on here. 2 hours 20, quite a long video. Again, appreciate it if you've stuck through it. I know looking at the left-hand side of the screen, you were able to see somebody really pretty, but I hope Mike has actually been presentable enough for you all today as well.
Yeah, I didn't put my makeup on today. I'll try to make myself more presentable next time.
All right, good. Okay, so next Sunday, 3 p.m. BST, which is what time for you, Mike?
That's 10 a.m. I believe, as long as there's no daylight savings change in the midst.
All right. Okay, so I suppose on that note, we shall see you on the week after next stream. Good luck, Mike.
You too, Will.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for watching.